For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
Looking to replace your OEM diesel particulate filter or diesel oxidation catalyst? Look no further than DPF XFit, a complete line of aftermarket diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts designed as an exact fit OEM replacement with all makes coverage for light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks. With thousands of units in stock, we ship the same or next day, and be sure to check out our comprehensive reverse OEM lookup tool. Always new, never remanufactured. For more information, be sure to visit dpfxfit.com. That's dpfxfit.com.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back, NHRA Nitro, and we are getting closer and closer to the start of the National Hot Rod Association official start at the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, but also the Lucas Oil Series at Orlando Speed World. That involves Project Pontiac, which we have 23 days to get my race car ready and out on track. And I've been working on it every day except for today, because what we're going to be doing is connecting with Paul Lee, Justin Ashley, and Chris Armstrong, talking about their first on-track opportunity. Paul Lee from McLeod Clutches and FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters. They're going to be out there at the SCAG Pro Superstar Shootout in Bradenton. Bradenton just had a tremendous weekend. The state of Florida is absolutely rocking when it comes to motorsports. The Rolex 24 was this past weekend. The Bartone Brothers Racing Team finished top 5 in their category. Bunch of drag racers out there running sports cars. It's kind of an overstatement, but Sean Bellemere was out there, super cool, checking out the Rolex 24. It's all happening here in the sunny state of Florida, and it's going to keep on happening. So we're going to speak with Paul Lee. We're going to speak with Justin Ashley. We'll look at the Pro Superstar Shootout. We'll look at some of the innovations that they're going to try to come up with this time, and how 3 qualifying sessions in a day became the norm in Richmond last year, and we're going to do it again this year. And then we'll look ahead to the start of the National Hot Rod Association Mission Foods season. We'll talk with Justin a little bit about, is he happy with his New York Jets new coach? But more importantly, is this the year that they can get over the hump? Same true for Paul Lee, getting a win after his best career season as a pro in 2024. What are they bringing to the table here in 2025? And we're going to talk about all of that coming up just a couple of moments from now. Now, this is the first WFO Radio NHRA Nitro that we have had in many years where Alan Reinhart was not one of the expert guests. And if you listened to the show last week, you heard that Alan, kind of broke the news on us. In fair reporting, all honesty, he told me about 1 minute before the show started. Then we began the show, and then we got the details during the show. I will tell you, a lot of you have reached out to me, and it's been amazing. The well wishes for Alan and his new endeavor. He's going over to, what he would call the I side. Kind of fun that's happening. And he's going to be vice president of competition, which is an expanded role. And so now that I've had a week to digest it, it's been amazing to think about how great this is for Alan. And so as much as Alan was a staple of Tuesday on WFO Radio for the better part of 20 years, going back to XM satellite radio, in fact, we talked a lot about it on the Ignition audio only podcast, which is the kind of the consistent thread back to my talk radio audio only days, where it's wide open. We'll spend some time talking about the NFL. We'll spend some time talking about Chinese AI. We'll spend some time talking about broad topics beyond just NHRA drag racing and drag racing in general. And we spent a lot of time, we're going to miss hearing Alan. But I can assure you of this, that the people that are going to keep going, certainly on my show, this Tuesday conversation that we are going to work very hard. Number one, to continue the legacy, and number two, to make sure that everybody that loves drag racing, that wants a little entertainment, that's got an hour and a half or so on Tuesday afternoon or on demand afterwards to spend with us is entertained and has a great time and all of that. You can understand, as I can understand, first of all, we will have Alan Reinhart back at some point in the future, like no doubt. But imagine, a Coca-Cola executive goes over to the PepsiCo company. I don't know if that's exactly how it is. I don't know if it's like, Cheers versus Gary's Old Town Tavern kind of rivalry. But I do know that more racing is always better because it gives the racers another opportunity. So I wanted to take the time now here that a week has gone by and wish Alan Reinhart very well. I'm excited about the future for the National Hot Rod Association. I'm excited about maybe trying some new things. I'm excited about getting out there with the fans in just a couple of weeks. And I'm really excited about racing my own car in Orlando. The Project Pontiac machine that has been coming along. There's a nice above shot of the 78 Pontiac Trans Am that my dad purchased brand new in 1978. I was a 5-year-old kid in the dealership. And we're getting closer and closer to Speed World Dragway in Orlando. There's a bit of a build project vibe going on. Like, will we make it? And I'd like to think we will make it. But, something could trip us up every day. I've got parts coming in from Summit Racing Equipment because this thing is truly built with Summit, whether it be transmission coolers or MSD stuff or the countless, as a gentleman said last week on the show, smalls, as in A&N fittings and hoses and tanks and overflow tanks and everything that is like smalls, as in these things add up, man. They add up. I know we got a lot of people out there. Ant Dog says WFO will still rock. Will Alan not be a part of WFO anymore? I think I answered that in that he's got his own responsibility that he's got to handle. And I admittedly, this show has always been a National Hot Rod Association focused program. The NHRA, and I've said it over and over again, there's drag racing all over the world. There's basketball all over the world. But when you think of the pinnacle of basketball, you think of the NBA. That's it, period. And, the WNBA is coming up, but this is an NHRA focused program. But there are times where things are important and they deserve love and respect. And also, they are directly connected to the health of drag racing in the NHRA. Like today, Paul's going to talk NHRA Gator Nationals. Paul's going to talk SCAG Pro Superstar Shootout. The people that we work with and want to see them thrive and succeed, the Pro Series. NHRA is going to be at the event doing the tech. The safety safari is going to be there keeping people safe. And so we can expand beyond the NHRA at certain times. Certainly the Lucas Oil Series. We had Colby Fuller on the show last week. So let's, see how it all plays out. But yes, Alan is definitely always going to be a friend. Good morning. Look forward to your program. Thank you very much. Yep. Did a double take when I saw the Bartone name pop up on the TV while waiting for the 24 hours. Yeah. Texted with Bellemure a little bit. He was there. He's at the Rolex 24. Top 5 in class. Not bad. A lot of people shouting out, saying, what's up? Jim Essex, couple of days early, but yes, happy birthday to me. Thank you very much. Now, before we got Paul getting ready to come on, Paul Lee. If you're a fan of the underdog in a world of, sharks, and Paul Lee, privateer team, making a run at it last year. They won the Pep Boys All-Star Call Out, 80 grand. Couple of final rounds came up short to the, driver of the decade so far, Austin Prock, with his incredible historic season. And Paul has pretty much kept the team together. So we're going to be talking to him about that. And this, and my prediction before he comes on, is that they're going to break through and win a race this year. But we'll be hearing from Paul momentarily. I do want to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO. Like, there have been so many people over the years who have been so helpful to us in our show and our causes. Certainly Project Pontiac, the folks at Wright Trailers nationwide, Michael Scott. If you saw the video, you understand why I'm like, want everybody, if you need a trailer, go see the folks at Wright Trailers, because they're doing it from the heart, man. It's not even, it's a business, but they're doing it from the heart. And in my case, for the right reasons. And I really appreciate those guys. Of course, Bernie's Speed Shop. Bernie's is now on board with what's going on in Bradenton over there, the Skag Pro Superstar Shootout. What they're looking for is inventory. They've got a 100,000 square foot showroom with classic cars, exotic cars, muscle cars, rare automobiles, Ferraris. They have everything. And they're buying and selling at all times. So if you're looking for a classic car, muscle car, and you're shopping, you should certainly go to them. But if you've got something in the garage that you want to offload and you're thinking like, maybe I'll put it in the local paper, that's not the best way to do it. Call Bernie's, BURNYZZ.com. Our friends at Foggett, this is Gary Sinnett's company. You know, I was at the D5 Awards banquet this past weekend. Division 5, the West Central Division, hanging out with everybody. Gary has won that thing like 19 times. And, you know, it was crazy to hear how people referred to him. He invented Foggett. It's a spray for the inside of your engine after you race to protect it so it doesn't get worn out. So go to Foggett and get it at summit.racingequipment.com. HusseyPerformance.net. This is the craziest. Dave and Allen from Pennsylvania, they're known for copper head gaskets, but they do more than just copper head gaskets anymore. They have gasket material for oil pan gaskets, valve cover gaskets. They've got it all. And he says, give him my cell phone number, my personal cell. Are you crazy, David? Yeah. 724-318-8292. It's all made in America, made in the United States, right to your order. It's amazing. Project Pontiac has got some exhaust gaskets on it from HusseyPerformance.net. Reach out to those guys. And they've even got some contingency programs going. It's all done in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. I see Paul Lee down there. Paul, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and we're loud and clear with Paul. That's great. We'll bring Paul on. We already heard a little bit about FTI Performance transmissions and torque converters at the very start of the show. Of course, the Project Pontiac Power Glide transmission and torque converter coming from FTI Performance, but they've got actually some big news. We'll talk to Paul about that as well. FTI Performance, speaking with Grant and the guys up there, they're trying to get me dialed in for the 1090 index as well as is possible. And I can't wait to put it to the test. Just brought a new transmission drive shaft yoke over to my drive shaft guy this morning. Things are happening with Project Pontiac. CWT Industries, balance machines for machine shops. You might have an old balance machine. It's kind of slow going, takes a lot of work. These new digital balance machines from Randy Neal and his company, CWT Industries, if it rotates, it can be balanced and it needs to be perfect. And these machines make it perfect. Plus they're easy to use, easy to train, a moneymaker for your shop. Reach out to me, Joe at WFOradio.com if you want a personalized introduction. And of course, Total Seal piston rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Hartford going to get a big comeback this year. They're doing all kinds of great stuff out there at Total Seal. Call Keith Jones, and don't forget to check out our podcast, Hidden Horsepower, as we had a lot of great stuff from PRI. All right, he's down there. Let's get him on the show. Let's bring him on. He's going to have the best year of his career coming up days from now. Mr. Paul Lee from McLeod and FTI. What's up, Paul? How are you? Happy New Year.
Hey, Joe. How are you, man? How's the off season going, and how's your project coming?
Project Pontiac is a lot of work. It is really reinvigorating my respect for anybody that has an active and consistent racing program. There it is, Paul. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Very nice.
Yes. It's a 78 Pontiac Trans Am. The engine is in. The FTI transmission and torque converter are in. We're, like the last 5 yards are always the toughest, locating all these things. But what's happening through this project, the super street car, right? A family car, a real car, a regular factory car. Like what you guys do is crazy. Just the parts acquisition. Just keeping the stock of, whether it be clutch discs or Goodyear tires or wheels, like how long have we had these wheels? How long have we been running them? What's up with the body, the spare body? Just all the things that you guys have to manage on a nitro team. I know you've got a staff, but still, it's a lot.
That's what it takes, a staff. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I've been in racing. I've been in the sport my whole life and raced alcohol funny cars for many years and, raced bracket cars in my career, Super Pro. I raced and then, and I never would have imagined, even being in the sport for 40 plus years, that owning a fuel funny car team, what it takes. I mean, it still boggles my mind of all the parts that we have to buy to keep in stock just to keep this fuel funny car team running. I mean, I get bills left and right coming in. I pay the bills. The guys order the parts. They have the best job. They get to order the parts, and and work on the stuff, and I pay the bills. But it's just mind-boggling how much money, if people really knew, you hear these estimates of how much it costs to run one of these things, and I'm telling you, it's true. It's not an exaggeration. The amount of money it takes to have all the parts required to run 20 races in NHRA is just mind-boggling. It just still blows my mind.
Well, just the fittings. Like this is something, and not to compare what I'm doing to what you're doing, but we both have to buy fittings, A&N fittings, like for safety, and nothing is inexpensive, man. And then
when you buy it, you still have to test it, because anything you buy, it's good stuff from the factory, but you still have to look at it, test it, check things, check measuring. I mean, you just don't buy it and put it in. I learned that hard lesson many years ago. When I had my alcohol funny car team 30 plus years ago, I bought a set of connecting rods, and they're supposed to be clearanced, and all right, they're clearanced. I just put them in, and of course the first run I kicked the rods out because they weren't clearanced, right? So I learned a lesson that even when you get new parts, they need to be checked, and that takes time. That's why we have 8 to 10 people on our race team, and there's so much work to do to prepare for these races. It's just amazing.
And then you want to delve into running some races too, right? Like you guys and the guys at Pro. And I want to hybrid this conversation because we're getting ready for the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals here in March. You guys are getting ready to burn nitro inside of 10 days in Bradenton. Bradenton is rocking already. Victor and the guys over there are like, they just had the US Street Nationals, like 70 Pro Mod cars going crazy. My friend, Mike Fiorelli, won the TBM Break 632 category. Congratulations, Mike. Way to go there. But like drag racing is up and running, and you guys are about to do the second version of your Skag Pro Superstar Shootout, which you have been very involved in, and like the back end stuff. What has that been like?
Yeah, I mean, last year was our first year. Yeah, Bradenton's where it's at, man, in the all season. That's where it's happening with all the races that Bradenton is hosting, and our first one was last year. I'm part of the NHRA, or the Pro Racers Board, Pro Promotions, and I'm happy to be part of that. And we have a great group, the best group that Pro I think has ever had. We working together, putting on our own race, test session for the week. I mean, last year was just amazing, and it was the most fun I ever had at a racetrack in my life. Was last year, spending the week testing, and then of course we had the race. The weather was perfect. The crowd, it was packed. It's going to be even more packed this year. I think it's almost going to get sold out but it's just so much fun. It's like an old school race, it's in a small facility, but you have the best of the best racing there in NHRA with Top Fuel Funny Car, Pro Stock. It's just amazing week. And 1 week from now, I'll be in Bradenton, with the rest of my team, playing with our race car and getting it ready for the 2025 season.
And it is there was some talk at the beginning of last year, like, is it a test session? Is it a shootout? What is it? And the answer is it's both. You guys are testing in Bradenton prior to the start of the season, which was, 200 miles away in Gainesville, maybe closer than that. Couple of weeks later, you're working on combinations. But since you're there and it costs a lot of money, you might as well open it up to the crowd and put on a show and put up some money. Like last year, Austin Prock started off a little slow, smoked the tires first 5 runs, ended up winning the race. And look what kind of season he went on to having. And it launched there. We saw 341.68 by Bob Tasca. Then at the end of the season, we saw it by Austin Prock. It was a really interesting kickoff to the season. And I felt like the teams hit the ground running in Gainesville.
Well, the pro race last year was just an example of what a pro racers can do. I mean, we put this race on ourselves. We had excellent group of people. It took a group effort. Everybody worked their tails off, especially some of the pro members, Michelle Domagala and Chad Head and Richard Freeman. They just worked their butts off, but we all did it as a team. Kurt Johnson does an amazing job in track preparation. The track was immaculate. And in my opinion, there's nobody better than Kurt Johnson in preparing a racetrack. And we just had a great time. You could run the tails off your car, and I think that's why you saw one of the reasons you saw a great year last year by a lot of the teams, because we had a great week at Bradenton tested. You know, when you have a track that's prepped like that and the weather was great and we could go out there and lap our cars, you know, same with our team. I mean, you know, we had the best year we ever had last year, and that's where it all started right there. We got to get the, tune up together. We had new team last year, and with Johnny Lindbergh and John Medlin working together. And, I'm more excited about this year because we got the same group going into 2025, the same team we had last year. We didn't lose anybody. And so it's pretty exciting to have all the people that are excited on our team to be back. And we're gonna race for it this year.
Yeah, you could have got a couple of wins if not for that kid named Prock. Like, what's up with that guy, right? But if you're going to lose to somebody in the final a couple of times, might as well be the guy who goes on to win the championship and has a record season.
Yeah, but well, I mean, they're a phenomenal team. I mean, you got Jimmy's probably one of the best that's ever been. I've always said that. Austin's just naturally talented. His brother is also talented. That's an assistant crew chief to Jimmy. I mean, they have a great team. And, we're out there, we don't want to lose. We're out there to try to beat those guys. They want us to try to beat them. They don't want easy rounds. So we're going to give it all we got again this year. And I'm looking forward to it.
That is very exciting. Now, I understand this year that the NHRA Safety Safari is going to be in the house as well. I really like that.
Yes, I do too. I mean, there was a couple hiccups last year, and that's okay. It was our first year pro putting on that race, and I'm not saying it was close to perfect, but to be honest with you, but there were certain things that we learned from it. We did learn a lot, and one of the things we learned is there's no better safety safari than NHRA, and so we're excited to have them. And as a driver, I feel personally a lot safer knowing that they're there. If something happens, they're going to be right there on top of anything that happens and be able to solve the problems right away. And they're very experienced, and there's nobody better than the NHRA Safety Safari. Those guys are awesome. I love those guys. So
we got a couple of questions stacking up here in the chat section. And what I'm going to do is, we're located in Fort Lauderdale area. It's about 3 hours from here to Bradenton. And we don't have a drag strip south of Bradenton. Like, that is the closest quarter-mile track to me and my friends and everybody from South Florida. You probably have heard the name Miami Hollywood Speedway in the past. I've got a tree back there from it. Jungle Jim raced here. Forces raced here. This is where Daryl and Jerry Gwynn got our start. We got to drive now 3 hours to either Bradenton to see some nitro. Certainly Gainesville. We encourage all of our people to go to Gainesville, but I'm going to drop the link in the chat section in case anyone from my local community. I recommend hitting them both. There is no reason that you would have to do one or the other. My opinion is that you got to go see both of these amazing events.
Yeah, I mean, there's in the southeast of the United States, this is the time of the year. I mean, you have before it was, Gainesville was the only national event in South Florida, right? The other closest one was Atlanta, right? And Atlanta's a long way. Plus, it's not there anymore. So, I mean, this is the people, all the folks from the southeast. This is your chance to not just see one race, but to see two major events where you can see all the stars of the sport. I mean, Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and some of the other classes, Top Sportsman, Super Stock. I mean, this is another chance to see. This is a chance for the southeast racers to see two big events. I'm excited about that because I have a lot of family that lives in Florida. So I'm originally from New Jersey, but most of my family now, my immediate family, my brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, my mom, they all live in Florida now. So they're all coming to Bradenton this weekend, and they get to see me twice. They get to come to Bradenton and then come to Gainesville in a few weeks after that.
That is awesome. Now, listen, that we're the third most populous state. We have one event, and we sell that place out. The Gator National sold out every year, and you guys were sold out last year. And I think the potential demand for NHRA nitro racing in general, racing in general. Look, you got the 12 hours of Sebring, and you got the Rolex 24, and you got all these things, these pro mod events. It's just tremendous. In Florida, we just only have a few tracks, which is interesting.
Is there any chance of West Palm Beach ever coming back?
Okay, so it's back on the market, but I don't know about like corporate real estate, but some people have educated me, and that the for sale advertisement offers it in square footage, which they told me that means they want to sell it in parcels as warehouses. If they wanted to sell it, like certainly, if you and I had X amount of $1 million we could pool together, we could probably buy it. They'd probably sell it to us, but they want to maximize their income by selling it by the square foot, which means we might not be able to get it back. But yeah, it's really a shame because that's a beautiful facility, all concrete quarter mile. It's on the east coast of the state. You're very close to about 5 million people, many of whom love drag racing, the international flair. You've got people coming from Puerto Rico where they love drag racing, and Aruba and the Caribbean. It's really a shame that we don't have anything south of Orlando and Bradenton, because we have such a population down here. But at the same time, Paul, the land is extremely valuable for all of those other things.
Yeah, I know. It's the same. Yeah, it's a shame because, we tested there a few years back in 2019. We had our test session at there. We had our test session there. And then I remember many 30 years ago, plus years ago, racing there in the Winter Series in my Top Alcohol Funny Car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Citrus Nationals?
1980. I raced there in 88 and 89. I raced down there when they used to have the West Palm and then Bradenton.
Yep.
The Snowbirds.
The Citrus and the Snowbirds were pretty much back to back.
I raced there back in 88 and 89.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, it's sad. So the reason why I heard that Cletus bought into Bradenton with Victor, and they're like forming a bit of an alliance, a powerful alliance with resources to fight to save those tracks. Like we have to save our tracks everywhere that we can.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I grew up in New Jersey, and Echo Dragway was my local track in Englishtown, and they're gone now. I mean, they're the tracks that I grew up racing at, and Maple Grove is another one that's still, thank God, thanks to Kenny Koretsky, he saved that track. So yes, I hear what you're saying.
And is it crazy that I still have some sort of hope for E-Town? Because I see those photographs. They're doing junk racing and swap meets and everything, but the track is still there. Like I still have this like twitch of hope.
I know Vinny Knapp would be turning in his grave. I got my license there back in 1988. I raced brackets there even before I raced alcohol funny cars in the early 80s. I raced Super Pro there. So that's kind of like, it was heartbreaking for me when that place closed down. I mean, that's my home. Like everybody has their home track where they grew up at, and in Englishtown was mine. And maybe that would be awesome if it did come back for sure.
As long as there's a flicker of hope, like the movie, right? You're saying there's a chance. All right. Andrew wants to know about your schedule for this year. After last year, skipping a race, not being in the top 10, I'm wondering, and he's wondering, like, do you have a different plan, or are you going to do what you've done in the past, which is like start the season, see how it goes, see how we do. If we're in the mix, keep going.
That's what we're going to do. So we're entered, as if you see the entry list. I don't know if the public can see the entry list now. Only the racers, I think, can see it until it's published. But we're entered into all the races up until Indy, like we were last year, except for Epping. I'm not sure about Epping yet because I have other engagements. I have a business to run, and that comes first. We should be able to make the top 10, missing one race. So we're going to do the same thing. If we're doing good and we make the top 10, we'll just keep going. Be the same as last year.
Excellent. And that brings up to Jim's question. Jim, you were talking about expenses, and this is something the fans are very interested in. And, sometimes the numbers are astronomical, but he goes, with all the money you have to spend to run a funny car in NHRA, do you ever break even? Asks Jim.
I've never broken even. Because and it's a big hole, but it's my passion, right? And I love it. And the one advantage that we do have is our companies. We get to promote what you see here: SST, McLeod Racing, FTI, Performance, Competition Clutch. We get to promote our companies with the race car, and our customers are out there at the races. They're the ones watching on TV. They're the ones that come up and see us at the racetrack. So we do spend a lot of money racing the car, but we look at it as a marketing and advertising expense. And that's the way we promote our businesses. And I'm the lucky guy, and our team, we get to go out, and I get to, live my passion and dream of driving a fuel funny car in NHRA, a competitive one, and at the same time promote our companies. So that's how we justify it. But it's never break even. We lose. We spend a lot of money because we don't have any other sponsors. We don't have, major sponsors like a big, big company that foots the bill like a lot of these guys have. I guarantee you their budgets are twice as much as what we spend, and our cars, and most of our parts are used parts that we buy from other teams. So we're competing with used cars, used bodies. Used, lots of parts that, that we buy from other teams. And I'm pretty proud of that, we don't have all the new shiny new stuff. The only thing we don't skimp on, and you can't, is when you talk to rotating assemblies, like, pistons, rods, crankshafts, we buy those new. You can't skimp on that stuff because that's an investment in the long run. If you have a crankshaft that breaks and it blows the body off and it costs you way more damage than what it costs to invest. So that kind of stuff we buy new. We don't skimp on that stuff. So there are certain parts that you can't skimp on and running hard. If you want to run easy, then you can do that stuff. But if you want to run low 80s like we do and we try to run with the rest of these guys. And, we proved it last year that we could do it. But you can't do it with some things that are used. You got to buy new. So that's where the expense comes in. And it's not only just buying the parts, you got to keep them fresh. Crankshafts don't last more than 10 runs. Pistons and rods usually wear out or bend or wear out before their life cycle. So you can't say, oh, okay, a rod lasts 10 runs. Well, that never happens. The rods end up getting bent or stretched in some way, shape, or form. They only last 1 or 2 runs each. I'm not saying we replace them all every run, but we always replace 1 or 2 every run. So in the long run, you're replacing a lot of parts, clutch parts. Every run, it costs, $1,000 to $1,500 a run, and just in new clutch parts. So there's certain things where you just can't cut corners. It's just expensive. You accept it, and if you can't accept it, you do something else. So we've accepted it, and that's what we want to do.
No, it's exciting. Well, I think you've put together a team that can compete for a championship this year. I really do, because of those runs that you made. There's when you come down the stretch and you're in Vegas and Pomona, you need to be able to run low 80s, and you showed you could. You did your career best a couple of times last year.
Yeah, that's our goal. We're not out there to participate. We're out there to compete with these guys and try to be this year. Our goal is be a top 5 car. That's our goal. I'm not saying we're going to compete for a championship or going to win a championship. I mean, there's some tough guys out there with a lot bigger budgets than us, but we're going to give it our best shot, and we're going to have a good time doing it. We're going to give them everything we got. Put it that way. We're not going to leave anything on the table. Our goal this year is to be a top 5 car.
All right, couple more questions. I see Justin Ashley is down there. Appreciate Justin signing on. I'm going to talk a little more Skag Pro Superstar Shootout. But, Paul, you did the 3 qualifying sessions in a day at that race last year, and that's something that had been, bounced around. And, if you're going to win on Sunday, you're going to run 4. So, and it was adopted by the NHRA. NHRA said, you guys are down for that? Let's do it in Richmond. And we did it, and I think everybody, other than it was ungodly hot on that given weekend, that's just kind of random, but people loved it. Is there anything that you guys will be unveiling at the Pro Shootout that you'd like to see picked up in addition? Like another thing that the racers are going to showcase to the NHRA, this is something we're cool with if you want to do that. Is there anything out of the ordinary that we may see?
Well, last year it was the 3. We always talked about doing 3 qualifying runs in one day. And last year we all got together at our meetings and said, yeah, let's do it. And we all agreed to do it. And it turned out to be a smashing success. Think about it. There's no downtime. It's literally, 3 runs in a row for all the pro classes, back to back to back. And it was awesome because the fans, didn't leave their seats. They got to see constant action. They didn't have to, sit around long periods of time. There was no oil downs. It just was constant action, and it was a big hit. And of course, NHRA adopted it, which was awesome. We loved that at Virginia, and it was packed in Virginia too. The heat was the downside at Virginia, but there's nothing you can do about that. That was just Mother Nature. But given a good weather this year in Virginia, you're going to see packed stands and constant action throughout the day. I mean, we loved it as racers. We want to get back out there. We don't want to sit around for 2 hours between rounds. We want to get the crew, show the fans, how these cars get back together, go back out there and make laps. And the fans loved it. So as far as this year goes, we're going to do the same thing this year. We don't have anything out of the ordinary as far as that goes, of what we did last year, but it's going to be a great show. And also, Top Fuel versus Funny Car. That's one thing that we did last year that was a success. And we gave a trophy dedicated to Don Schumacher for the winner of that. So yeah, it was an awesome event, and I can't wait till next week. It's going to be awesome.
Super excited. We want to give everybody a little time to get over there and get planned and make your plans to be there and get tickets for the Gator Nationals as well, and kind of follow these teams and in their Florida swing as they, do some testing, then compete for some big money, and then head over and kick off the start of the NHRA season. Final question for you, Paul. I noticed FTI has been in the news a little bit more, like continued expansion of the brand, and now available in some distributorships and whatnot. I follow along on the social media and amplify as much as I can. It's kind of cool. This little, Florida transmission company is, bursting, bigger and bigger on the scene.
Yeah, I mean, everybody at FTI, which is in DeLand, Florida, does a great job. We have a great team, and customers have been asking for our product, and some of our larger distributors that we have through McLeod and Silver Sport Competition Clutch that we also sell to, a company like Turn 14. They bought our product on board recently, so we're pretty excited that now the customers can get FTI products through Turn 14 distribution and all their big supply of vendors out there. So yeah, we're excited about that. Just within the last week, we finished that deal, and that started a year ago. It just takes a long time, but we have great distributors. Like Turn 14, Turn 5, Summit, JEGS. I mean, you can get our products through all those great distributors. It's been a great partnership. These customers of ours have been great partners. So any customers out there, you can get your FTI converters through Turn 14 now. Amazing.
Paul, great job as usual. Looking forward to seeing how it all goes down there at the Skag Pro Superstar Shootout. And then, of course, shoot across the state, Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, and going to do it all again. I have predicted publicly that you will get your first NHRA national event win in the Mission Foods Funny Car Series this year. So, hey, don't make a liar out of me.
Don't worry. We're going to give it all you got. We're not leaving anything on the table this year, bro. Okay. So we're excited to see all our Florida customers and fans at Bradenton next week. So come on out and give us a visit. Don't miss it.
There you go. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you. See you there.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
There he goes, Paul Lee, with us here on WFO Radio. Just super excited. I was born in Florida. My parents are from Jersey, like Paul. They moved to Florida. I was raised down here. Drag racing was such a big deal, is still a big deal. But to have like the stars of the sport spending a month for the most part in our state, like there's a lot of media coverage, a lot of people talking about it, even what's happening over there with the U.S. Street Nationals and the Snowbirds and Wes's Drag Illustrated stuff. It's just like keeping drag racing at the forefront. Two cars accelerating in competition against each other versus all the other forms of motorsports that happen here in this state. Very exciting. All right, let's bring on our next guest. He is a Top Fuel racer and a friend of the show, and he joins us now, speaking of Skag, Mr. Justin Ashley. What's up, Justin? How are you?
I'm doing good, Joe. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Did Paul get you excited for Bradenton? Like you're going to step on the pedal here in like less than 10 days.
He did. He got me very excited. How could you not love Paul? He is one of the best guys and one of the best representatives that we have in the entire sport of drag racing. And I'm with you as well. I'm going to hop on and piggyback off you. I definitely think that his first NHRA funny car win is going to come at some point this season. I'm going to even say maybe even the first half of the season. I'm excited for him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's now that play NHRA, like the wagering, look, we're not allowed to wager, but we're certainly allowed to speculate about who's going to be up and who's going to be down. I think, if you're making wagers on Paul Lee at the start of the season, you might get a hit. Like you might get one of those hits because it's coming. We just don't know when it's coming. Johnny Lindbergh spending the off season, mad scientist style in there with John Medlin. It's going to be great. But what about your team? Year 2, Skag experience. Justin Ashley, year 1, solid year, came up a little bit short. We understand that story. I probably want to ask you a little bit about that. Not to take you back to that final race and plane crash and craziness. I don't know if we've spoken since then, Justin. Have we?
I don't know. We may have spoken once after that.
Like, so when I talked to Antron,
yes.
and I can't help but think about the moment that you guys are in the water box and the plane crashes, and then you got to go back to the pits. And that it's in that moment that for me, the space-time continuum splits. Because what if the plane didn't crash? What would your car have run? What would you have done? What would the light have been? We don't know. And it doesn't matter, but it's just an odd happening to be connected to that championship moment.
It really is. Drag racing has a lot of variables, and to be a successful team, you try and eliminate as many variables as you can. And just the fact that the plane did crash, and not only did it crash, but when it crashed, right? When we are up there and we're getting ready to race Antron with the championship on the line. But look, there are certain things that you cannot control. And this was certainly one of them. It could have been worse. God forbid we were in the plane, right, to begin with. So it definitely, I think in a weird way, it kind of put things in perspective, because there's all this buildup, all this adrenaline. You kind of have the butterflies in your stomach, and then everything comes to a screeching halt. And your first thought is, okay, why? What's the delay? Maybe there was an oil down. Maybe they have to do a cleanup or whatever that reason may be. And then when you find that it's a plane crash, you have the time now to go back to the pit, think things over, regroup. But for me, I think it was all about staying calm, trying to stay within the moment. But it definitely put things in perspective. We have the opportunity to drive race cars for a living. That's a blessing. That's a tremendous opportunity. And it's a privilege to go out there and compete for a championship. This time it didn't work out like we had hoped, but it worked out like it was supposed to. And Antron won the championship, and deservingly so.
All right, your team, additions, subtractions, is everybody back? What is the status of your SCAG Top Fuel team?
Everybody's back, which is really, really exciting to us. Obviously, Mike Green and Tommy DeLago as crew chief and co-crew chief, and then Dustin Davis as the general manager, and everybody underneath him. We're all one, pulling the rope in the same direction. You know, Joe, the best teams are the ones that stay together, that have been working together for a really long time in the sport. And for us, we're fortunate to have that. Last year was our first year with SCAG, and it couldn't have gone any better. Obviously, we would have loved to win the championship, but we had a lot of success on the racetrack. We had a lot of success off the racetrack. And, it's really a testament to the people that we surround ourselves with. And happy to go back after it again this year with the same group.
All right, so let's talk about this. What I feel like is a extended start to the season with the Pro Race in Bradenton, which is a test session that leads into a big money shootout event. Whoever wins that gets a nice kick at the start of the season financially, but also it's somehow this jolt of energy. Look at what Austin Prock did with it last year, motivation. Then you guys take that energy and you go into one of the biggest NHRA events of the season, the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals, not just a couple weeks later, and carry that information, the data, the momentum, and hopefully some of the race fans will follow you up to Gainesville also.
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes there's a misperception that it's pro and NHRA, and they're almost working separate, but that's not the case at all. We want to work collectively as a group. We feel that the Pro Superstar Shootout is what's in the best interest of drag racing, what's in the best interest of NHRA and the sport as a whole. So everybody from SCAG Power Equipment to Flow to Bradenton Motorsports Park to Pro themselves to everybody in between, to be able to put on an event like this is truly special. And Paul mentions some of the unique things that we're doing there, from the Top Fuel versus funny car races to the actual call out and chip draw format to 10 to 12, maybe even 14 or 15, depending on the class, of the best in the world going head to head at it for only an 8-car field. So the competition is stout, especially on Friday. The action is nonstop with the 3 qualifying sessions. So it's one of those races where I definitely encourage all the fans that may be on the fence to go out, come out, experience, enjoy it. It has a little bit of a grassroots feel to it, which I think is nice. It brings us back a little bit to the older days of drag racing. So it's a special event. And you're right, there is a lot of momentum that we can carry and a lot of data and information that we can carry from this race and hopefully apply to Gainesville and the rest of the year moving forward. Normally, this point in the year is a test session for us, which is great, but we're all testing there anyway. We want to compete. We're all competitors. So this is an excellent opportunity, and the conditions are right, man. I got to be honest, Joe. The conditions are ripe. You saw it with Tasca last year. There are going to be a lot of really fast times.
Yeah. Well, and the weather conditions, sea level, right by the, the Gulf of America. I'm taking some getting used to that. I'm trying. It's just a great place to race. And Andy Ross, the American Rebel, going to do a concert as well. To me, I didn't get to go last year because I was working on my own racing operation to try to go race in Orlando. This year, I believe I'm going to be able to make an appearance for a day or so to check it out. But everybody told me in the aftermath that it was a lot percentage party, that there was a party vibe, like you'd see that Rolex 24 sports car race and they're going around and around for 24 hours. What they don't tell you is in the infield, it's a wild celebration. It's a party. There's people having fun. There's music. There's things going on. It's like a laid back kind of vibe. And it is my understanding that that's kind of some of the thing you guys are trying to emulate, that it's a very like kind of a low key party atmosphere.
Well said. Yeah, I think that's accurate. Racing is the event, right? That's why people are going, but there's a lot more to it than the actual racing in and of itself. As you said, American Rebel will be there performing. So there'll be music, there'll be unique accessibility. There'll be access to fans and access to drivers and teams and all that stuff, as there always is, but even more so on a little bit of a bigger and better scale. At least that's what we hope. So it is kind of a laid back atmosphere, but one that breeds a high level of competition and one that the fans really enjoy. So you get to watch the racing in and of itself, but then enjoy all the other things that go on around the race. So it really is a fun few days.
All right. So NHRA 2025, the 74th season of the National Hot Rod Association. Next year, we're already thinking about 2026 and the 75th season and the Diamond Wallies and all that amazing stuff. But this year is it's going to be huge, and the competition level and Top Fuel, like we were talking with Paul about, what he's up against, right? The Prock family coming back again, Tasca 341, like all these great cars. But it's almost as if Top Fuel took over most competitive class with you guys, with Antron, with all that's going on. Brittany Forrest resurgent at the end of the season. Brittany's back. HendrickCars.com just announced that they're going to be with Brittany for like 18 races or something. Like, it's not getting any easier in Top Fuel. What's it going to take, and how are you going to try to manage this season? You've always got a very kind of good mental attitude about one round at a time, but we know you've got a goal that you must accomplish, and you guys are trying to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's no doubt that the competition is tough. We spoke about it last year. I'm sure there'll be some additions to the class. There'll also be some subtractions. But nonetheless, I think that this is the toughest period of time that we've ever had in NHRA Top Fuel Drag Racing. So we have a healthy respect and understanding that the competition is legitimately that good. And I think that brings out the best in us, and it brings out the best in everybody. And I think it's great for the fans. But with that being said, I think the best way to manage it is know what our ultimate goal is first. And our ultimate goal is to win the World Championship. That'll never change. That will always be our goal. But then it's about, okay, how do we set up a process to actually reach that goal at the end of the year? And that process for us is by taking it one day, one round at a time. And ironically, even though the competition is so good, not worrying about it. We cannot control what the competition is going to do. We cannot control what they're going to run at any given point in time. What we can control is how well we do and the kind of packages that we put together and how we perform as a team. So for us, it's taking it one day at a time, focusing on the process, and knowing that whatever we do on the racetrack and whatever results we have, we'll let the points take care of themselves. I do think one thing that we learned last year is that, obviously these last few years, we've been right in the championship, right at the end. And obviously we want to knock that door down and seal the deal here in 2025. And a big part of that is for us almost making it a 5-race countdown. We'll worry about Pomona when Pomona comes, but we want to position ourselves where, okay, we almost want to have Pomona be the icing on the cake, collect as many points as we can after the last Vegas race in the fall. So anything after Pomona is almost a bonus. It's definitely a difficult task, but that's kind of our outlook going into 2025.
No, I love hearing that. That's strategy. And the countdown is like, it's like alive. It's changing. It's morphing, new strategies, new parts, new pieces. And with that 1.5 points at the end and the way we experienced it this year, I agree. It's like the capstone of the countdown. And it'll be interesting to see, but it's a long way away, and you certainly want to amass as many national event wins. All right, talk to the people out there who are freezing right now. You know them. You're a New Yorker. You know what it's like to be bitterly cold in February, and you're thinking to yourself, like, is spring coming soon? And the answer is no. It's not coming soon. But you know what's available? A plane ticket and a credit card and a trip to Florida, either for Bradenton and Gainesville, both. Who knows? But talk to them. Tell them why they should come down.
Yeah. Number one reason, I think, is because it's pretty darn cold right on the East Coast. I'm in New York. From what I understand, in some other surrounding areas, it is pretty darn cold as well. So I think that's a good reason. Now is a great time to escape to the warm weather. Look, I'm not going to try and sell you guys on anything, but I am going to tell you the truth. The truth is that this event is unique. It's spectacular. You have racing, and in addition to the racing, you have music, you have autograph sessions, you have accessibility. This is a unique event that I would encourage anybody to be a part of. It's a simple thing. Go to prosuperstarsshootout.com, get the tickets, meet us down there. And I almost guarantee you that you will enjoy the experience. It's, it's Nitro, and it's the right way to kick off the season.
There you go. Now I'm excited for all you guys, and I am going to try to make it up there one of the days. Not exactly sure. As you know, I'm working on my own car. We're getting close, but I got to make it. I can't make a big story about going racing and then not make it to the racetrack. So I got to get it done. But Justin, can't wait to see you on track. Looking forward to 2025. We're literally days away from hearing you guys burn nitro. Cannot wait. Thanks for spending time with us here on WFO Radio.
Anytime, Joe. I appreciate it. Just want to say real quick,
yes,
some prayers out to everybody in California, all the wildfires and everything that's going on. Just know that, our thoughts and prayers are with you guys. I appreciate you, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that, after that such eloquent statement, and I totally agree. We'll let you go. I did want you to weigh in on your new Jets head coach. There will be plenty of time to do that in the future. Thank you very much, Justin.
All right, we'll talk about it. Have a good one, guys.
There he goes, Justin Ashley with us here on WFO Radio. These guys are fired up. They're very fired up. Drag racing is like growing and blossoming. There's so many great stories out there. And we are going to talk with another one next. Chris Armstrong is developing. He's an NHRA veteran. He's a drag racing veteran. He's developing a team for FIA European drag racing. They're doing a 4-race series over there. We think about Ida, who came over, and Johnny Lindbergh and Lex June, and all these people who have been a part of European drag racing. Here on WFO, we are constantly trying to bring the world of drag racing closer together, from Australia to the UK to the Middle East to Bradenton to Speed World Orlando. And we're going to hear what Chris is going to be doing. We're going to do all of that after this. Stick around.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
Foggit available at Summit Racing Equipment, summitracingequipment.com, and of course, Amazon.com and Foggit.com. Let's bring him on. Chris Armstrong joins the show. Chris and I have hung out many times in the pits at the NHRA. Has been involved with many teams over the years, but this is kind of different. Chris, welcome to WFO Radio. How are you?
Joe, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great.
I got to tell you, man, I've been on the backstage listening to Paul and listening to Justin, and damn, man, it gets the old blood flowing again. We're here.
Me too. Like I'm ready to go racing. I've had a not long enough break. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Yeah. No, and to follow Justin is pretty amazing. That guy is just an amazing fella. I've got to know him very well, actually, in the staging lanes, and had a lot of conversation. He is just a class act, so I love following him. Thank you.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your background, bit of a kind of a backstage personality in the world of NHRA drag racing, but extremely passionate. You're doing something new. We're going to talk about it. We've got a lot of listeners and fans across the pond in the UK. They follow NHRA drag racing, and you're kind of making an investment there. It's kind of interesting. But before we get to that, I want everybody to know your background. Like, who is Chris Armstrong? Why are you here? How did you get here? What do you do? Why do you love this sport?
Well, it started, I'm a builder developer in Florida. I've built a little over 12,000 homes here in this area, and was fortunate enough, and God blessed me that I was able to sell the building side of my business and focus on land development. In 2002, at the urging of my brother, he invited me to go out to the Ocala Speedway in Ocala, Florida, one of the oldest short tracks in the country. And I can't do anything half-assed, Joe. So I'm sitting in the stands and watching the races. And by the end of the next week, I owned the facility and just fell in love with the racing. It was an outlet for a busy time in my life, and being involved with as an owner of the track, then as a car owner, then as a promoter. I just fell in love with it. And over this time, obviously you're very familiar with Josh Hart, who's a local Ocala guy. He invited me to go to Las Vegas and watch a 4-wide, and I was standing behind the car, and I said, man, I got to have some of this. And I just fell in love with it. And so the racing's in my blood, and I'm ready now to do something on my own. And that's what this new venture's about.
Super exciting. And yes, I've hung out with you, around Josh's team, and the passion for the sport. We all have it, but you're in the position to be able to do something. So tell us what you're doing. It's kind of a little different direction, and why you made the decision to go run the four race FIA series. And it is my understanding that you're still putting together the personalities, but share with us what you can about this new venture.
Well, I'm fortunate enough that, with Josh, the last 4 years, I've really got to see a lot of the United States. I mean, as an NHRA participant, I've been fortunate to get to travel to all these amazing places. And I'm in a place in my life where I can still one thing COVID taught me is that I can run a business through a Teams call or a Zoom call. That was one of the good things that came out of this whole deal. And so with the ability to be able to travel, and honestly, I was watching Ida and several of these other racers come into our series, and I started investigating it. And man, some of these tracks overseas are iconic. You get to Hockenheim, and you get to, Santa Pod, and you see some of these places. These are places that as an individual, I want to travel. I want to be there. And so I'm just in a very good place in my life. And I bought the equipment. We set it up. We've shipped it over. We are definitely deep in finalizing our crew and our driver, which I'll be announcing pretty soon. But I can tell you this, Joe, we're going to win. That's my goal. I want to have an FAI championship, and I probably am not going to be afraid to step over into Australia once we get this down and run the Australian, and then continue to do our NHRA thing. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
So I would imagine that our friends across the pond are probably pretty excited about this, because what they need is just more cars.
Yeah,
they've got the passion. They've got a few tracks, 4 tracks, Terp Arena, Hockenheim, Santa Pod, 2 events. That's the series. But Ida was telling us last week, it's kind of interesting how the past few weeks on WFO have been very world drag racing centric. And I invite all of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us every week. We love you guys. But they just need more cars. Yeah. And you are providing. So can you share, you said you've bought the equipment. Can you share where the equipment came from? Like whose chassis or what car or what parts? Can you share any of that information?
I don't want to yet, Joe, not from that standpoint. we're actually putting together a whole package. I want to really announce this thing in the right way. I'm really excited because this is really the first announcement that we've come out on your show, and I appreciate you having us here. I want to just get the word out. I want to start a little bit. I'll be down at Pro. Excited to stand behind Josh, and I think he's going to do some amazing things this year. Lots of changes over the off season. We've learned a lot. We've gone through a lot. People don't understand how difficult this top fuel class and this funny car class is. They don't understand the quality of all the teams. I mean, it is so competitive, and you end up catching yourself chasing other things rather than what Justin just said, focusing on your own team. We're refocused. We're going to be focused in UK and in Germany and in those races. And really excited to run some of these places that are famous. And I think it's going to bring a lot of international. Hopefully there's going to be more of us going back and forth.
I think it's great. I think that, obviously Formula One is the ultimate international championship, and it's very expensive. Yes. But I do think that Tommy Johnson just had success in Australia 2 weeks ago or last weekend. We have a lot of people that go down to Australia. There's a lot of back and forth. Terry Haddock had great success at the end of last year, going over there, tuning in 300 mile per hour funny car. But John Force's whole selling point is on fire from here to Australia. Our world drag racing community, in my opinion, with NHRA as the pinnacle, just because it is, if we can bring that thing together, there's a lot more fans and a lot more people. All right, let me push you on a question now.
Huh?
American driver or European driver?
It'll be American driver.
An American driver.
Yes.
Okay. See, that's kind of an interesting angle, right? Because it's like, American driver going up there.
We're in Gulf of America. We're going to stay American. We're going to run American. We're going to go and compete. It's exciting. Like I said, Joe, I've been very fortunate that I've traveled quite a bit, and their cultures and bringing some of what we have gone through the last 4 years on NHRA is going to help our program up. Help my program in Europe. Very excited. I promise you this. I will give you an opportunity to know ahead of time what the direction I'm going. And when I make that announcement, I think you're probably going to want to bring us back on.
Well, that's why we're having you on. This is a nice preliminary get to know you interview. Hey, Chris, get a load of this comment. We're on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is growing. We welcome all new viewers, but drag racing is so misunderstood. Get this. This guy, Car Care, says, how fast are you guys trying to run, or is it just consistency? Face it, the computer is doing everything, not you. See, this guy doesn't know drag racing. Drag racing, sir, is the sport where the computer doesn't do anything. They're not allowed by rule. You can capture data, but that's it. In the end, the crew chief has got to consume the data and go up there and turn some knobs and make it happen.
That's right.
Computer's doing nothing.
And that's a really great question, though. Are you trying to run fast or consistent? And the truth is, Josh, don't get mad at me for saying this, but last year we were probably the most consistent team out there. Problem was we were 3.72. We weren't fast. We weren't fast enough. And that's why we made the changes that have been made. So when we go, the key to it, like Justin just said, is you have to set your goals. You have to, we want to be fast. I have a rule. I'm not coming to play unless I'm coming to win. Otherwise, I'll stay here and build lots and build houses. I want to go win. So now the key to that is how can you run super fast and be consistent? Which, there's a few in the past that have done it, but that's why drag racing is so amazing. It's hard. It's hard. You got to be talented.
All right. So the official name of the team. Which, I could have said that right at the beginning, but let's get it. Let's document it.
Armstrong Europe Racing.
Armstrong Europe Racing. AER.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, that way it's really easy to add if we want to go Australia racing, if we want to go, so we're really excited, Joe. I mean, I just think, one thing I have found when I go to the track, people come from everywhere. We've got your normal people, and our site contractors and our subcontractors and home builders and garbage people, to doctors, to lawyers, these people, everybody, it brings together all these people. And that's a really exciting thing. One of my favorite things that I do is when I go to the NHRA events is just talk to people. It's just amazing, and they all have their story and they remember this and they remember, and it really fills me as a person, and it makes me feel, and the other reason, Joe, I'm just going to tell you, a lot of guys won't say this, but in all my businesses, I've always been extremely competitive, and I'm not at a point anymore where I can go out and play in a football game. I can't go play basketball. I'm 54 years old and my body feels like I'm 182. But when I go out and I'm standing behind Josh, or I'm standing behind this new team out there in Hockenheim, I'm competing. And that competition is what fuels me, and I'm really excited because I think we can win this thing. And, my eventual goal, just to tell you very honestly, is I want to win NHRA. I want to win Europe, and I do want to win Australia. And I think we have the vehicle and the tools to do it.
Wow, very exciting. I love hearing you say that. I love bold statements. Yep. And I'm sure that the Euro Dragster websites are typing up their stories right now. Hopefully Australia as well, and here in the United States. One thing
we're coming.
So C5 Pete, though, he's taking us backwards, but I got to go with it, right? He says, so you're a land developer. PBIR needs a land developer, just saying. Can you save Palm Beach International Raceway? You got some coins in the pocket that you can send this way and save that drag strip, Chris?
That was sent to me just a couple of weeks ago, and so, I don't know how NHRA would feel about a car owner owning their own track out there. So I'm not sure.
They'd be fine with it. I might be okay.
Get a little extra testing in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the KB Titan guys pretty much have a track across the street. No, we need to save this racetrack. And, I don't know if it's going to happen, but it definitely makes for good conversation.
I hope so. Like I said, I'm actually a baby still at this sport because I just officially got into it 4 years ago, but there's such a passion and the fans are so passionate about it. The drivers, these guys and gals get in these cars and do things that, I'm real happy to stand behind it.
Me too. Hey, Keith Kaufman, one of our listeners wants to buy the swag already. He's ready to.
We're putting them on. That'll be on our website. We got some really neat stuff. Now, if you'll notice, my colors have always been orange and blue, and
are you a Florida Gator or something?
Yeah, I was gonna say my brother, who's my partner in everything other than the racing. He played at University of Florida and 4-year starter for them and played for the Dallas Cowboys. And we've stuck with our orange and blue ever since. So I've got about 80 different companies, Joe, and all of them are orange and blue.
You Gator Nation, you guys are big. Of course, me being from South Florida, we're all about the U down here, but it's a respectful rivalry.
This year they got us, but they're good. They're good. Listen, you don't want to roll into Florida and play any of the teams.
No, it's a great school. It's like the Ivy League of the South, University of Florida.
You got Florida, FSU, Miami, even USF and UCF. No team wants to come into Florida and play because it's a good chance you're going to get it handed to you.
That's fine. Everybody's fast. All right, Chris, thank you very much. I appreciate you making this announcement, or certainly getting on the radar of everybody. But once you got your driver and your crew chief, we would like you to come back because it is a big statement. And honestly, you can kind of have some pressure on you. Because it's a bold thing. You're like, we're going to go to Europe and, American drag racers.
Hey, listen, I didn't say it was going to happen the first year, even though that's our goal, but,
right.
We're prepared to play as long as we need to play. So
good.
I will see you. Hopefully you'll be at Pro, and then definitely I'll see you at Gator Nationals.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming on WFO Radio. Good luck in your venture.
Thank you, buddy.
There he goes. Chris Armstrong with us here on WFO Radio. How exciting is that? How exciting is that? That's going to be an American driver. That's what I wanted him to say. I didn't know. It just like, to me, it's a more interesting story. Like, send one of our guys out there who needs seat time or wants seat time or is a big name, or who knows who he's talking to. Maybe he'll get some phone calls from people he's not talking to based on this interview. I would love to be the guy or girl who went over to Europe and competed at Santa Pod, Terp Arena, Hockenheim. Like, these are iconic tracks in iconic countries that, their drag racing fan base needs to grow so that they subscribe to NHRA TV. And that, I think, is the lesson of all of it. The pie, if you want to call it a pie, if you want to make a food analogy, right? Like, we got to grow it. And where can you grow? Well, you can grow outside of the borders of the United States of America. We got drag racing fans, a lot of them down there, but certainly within the United States of America, because we are popular and strong, and we've got a great fan base, and our fans are passionate. But the average citizen in your local grocery store, when you go to Wegmans and you just pick a random person, you go up to them, it's like, do you know about drag racing? They probably do not. Can you name a drag racer? Maybe they'll say like Don Prudhomme or Shirley Muldowney or John Force. But there's work to be done. And I think people are set out to do the work. Put your comments in the comment section, guys, as we get ready to get out of here. I've got a couple of things that I want to tell you about. The D5 Awards Banquet, a little Project Pontiac, all the things that I'm getting ready to do at Orlando Speed World with my Project Pontiac race car. A lot of people are talking about this, and it's so funny because I struggle to talk about my own endeavors, whether it be driving or anything. It's just, I'm so much more comfortable interviewing others, but people have been asking a lot about this, and it's a 78 Pontiac Trans Am. We just put the engine together. Gary Stinnett did it. Got a lot of people like FTI and Summit Racing Equipment and Edelbrock helping us out. Foggett, of course. And we're getting closer and closer to being ready. Like tying up the loose ends. The guys at Wright Trailers, Michael Scott, really helpful to us. What is the point? Chris is putting together a team to run Top Fuel. Paul Lee is out there running Mission Foods Series Funny Car. Justin Ashley bought a team, campaigned a team to run Top Fuel now. Randy Glady is his team owner, and they're out there. Would be so thrilled. I will be so thrilled to have a capable super street car to go out to the NHRA divisional races and run at that level. And to me, that is a very high level of drag racing. To have a car that's capable to go out there and maybe contend to win a Wally. And who knows, maybe next year, I will have shaken, if it's not even rust. Like, I don't know what it's called when it's before rust. Like, you don't even have rust yet. You got to be good to get rusty. Like, we're not even there. But next year, those Diamond Wallies, man, that is very enticing. This past week, I went to Kansas City. The West Central region and division did their awards ceremony. And it was really cool. Tyler Wodarczyk won Superstock. Mark Graham won Top Dragster. Gary Stinnett was back in the house after this photo. He's good friends with these guys. They're like, we're trying to be like Gary. And he's like, yeah, he's got 18 of them. And Gary's like, 19 division championships. Think about that. Jeremy Lerke and Wade Samuel out there. A couple of big giant people, as you can imagine. Look at that. Just crazy. But we had so much fun. And I learned so much about the state of Kansas, honestly. The people that race there and how dedicated they are. They only have one national event. Division 5 only has one national event. It's Brainerd. And so the storyline is, if you have a drag strip near you that's trying to do something, you got to support them. You got to support them. And if you own a drag strip, you need to do something that is going to bring entertainment value to people. Like what Victor and now Cletus are doing at Bradenton Motorsports Park. Formerly DeSoto Memorial, owned by Art Malone of Garlitz and Malone, owned by Art Malone. It was run by Troy Williams, Sr., Troy Williams Jr. and Gary Williams were over there bracket racing all through the 80s. They ran the Snowbirds and all of that stuff. It was a great track back in the day for bracket racing. And you had so many very successful, we'll call them sportsman racers, but racers of all kinds come from that area. You know, Dave Connolly still lives over there, and Steve Cohen and guys that went on to just greatness. Kansas has got that kind of vibe too. The racing community is very, very tight, and if you are focused, you're gonna get really good. So what we've got here in the state of Florida right now, coming up at the end of February, starting off with Skag Pro Superstar Shootout in a couple of weeks, not this weekend, the following, and then the Gator Nationals. Josh Hart at Bernie Speed Shop going to have a fan fest on Wednesday night. Then Thursday's Hardcore Thursday, then the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. If you want to go to the International Drag Racing Hall of Fame, I believe there's still tickets available. Gary Selzy's going in. Phil Burgess is going in. It's going to be amazing, an amazing show. This International Drag Racing Hall of Fame spectacle, Brian Loans is going to be inducting someone, like Jack Beckman is going to be inducting people. It's going to be an amazing show. I don't know what has happened in the past 4 to 5 years, but it's like really been like a rocket ship going up. The International Drag Racing Hall of Fame. Garlitz is going to be on WFO Radio. Good reason to smash that like button and click the bell and subscribe to our audio-only podcast so you don't miss the day that Garlitz comes on to talk about the inductees. But it's going to be great. We're going to have ourselves a good time. But what's happening in the state of Florida at the start of the season, do we need another drag strip? Well, I would love one closer to South Florida. We have the most people, we have the most money, we have the most population, we have the most interested parties. I would love for Homestead Miami Speedway to build a drag strip, quarter mile, and have an NHRA national event. Doesn't seem to be on the radar of possibilities. If Bradenton, 3 hours from me, and Orlando Speed World, 3 hours from me, is the closest, I can deal with it. And there are a lot of race fans that are willing to drive up the Turnpike or I-75. And certainly, when you're at the Gator Nationals and that sold-out crowd, a large percentage of them come from the Miami market. It's been coming up for years. That's how I got involved in drag racing. So I'd ask you to do that as well. Be a part of drag at the start of the season so we can announce some sellouts. We want to let you know WFO merch is available. The link is in the chat section. Project Pontiac shirts, wide open hoodies. It's all on sale from time to time. You just got to wait and they'll put it on sale. Great discount. Want to shout out to our friend Marvin Rodak, rodakscoffeeandgrills.com, RODAKS, coffeeandgrills.com. Hot sauces, spice rubs, everything that you love, great recipes. And if you're a coffee file, you're going to get the best coffee in the world, literally, not the vacuum-packed garbage you're used to getting. I'm talking Rodax coffee from coffee farms from all around the world, small batch, amazing stuff. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821. And our great friends at Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. Frank Hawley knew that the Florida drag racing scene was going to be popping. Like in the 1980s, he started a drag racing school. And they keep on going. But they've got a program called the Dragster Adventure. I think you would love driving a dragster. Most people don't realize that they can just show up somewhere and drive a dragster for a day. A drive program. And I recommend you do it. Maybe you'll end up getting your Super Comp, Super Gas license with these guys. Our friends at Foggett and Bernie's, and of course, Hussey Performance and CWT Industries. Speaking of Australia, Torque Calibration Services, FTI Performance Transmissions and Torque Converters, Total Seal and Jesse Converters, all on board with WFO Radio. We appreciate them. All right, I'm done stalling. Let's see what you guys have to say in the comments section. Love the comments and see what you've got. All right, when this guy mentions racers with tracks, Joey Severance, 5-time champ, says Dragster Jeff. Good note. Absolutely. Kimmy wants to know what's up with the Pontiac. We're down to the small stuff. The engine is in. The transmission is hooked up. The torque converter is in. I brought my drive shaft today to get a new yoke. Who knew when you have a rollerized tail shaft, you need a new drive shaft yoke? Didn't know that. So I had to bring it to my drive shaft guy, who is new. This is every drive shaft person that I knew of went out of business like years ago. But so I'll be picking up the drive shaft. Got to do tires. I need tires. There was the big debate. Which tires do I go with? And we have settled on tires, which it's very exciting. Got to fill the trailer. Like I got to stock the trailer. Got to book some rooms. Like I'm the general mangler for Project Pontiac Castello Media Racing, the WFO Motorsports team. Pretty crazy. And they're going to stream that race, by the way. So Be ready to watch me go out there and flounder. It'll be fun for you. Let's see. So, Joe, who are going to lead the track announcers now? Steve. So, who is it going to be? Well, I would imagine myself and Jason Galvin are going to carry a lot of the weight. But this is in discussion right now, honestly. And the thing about Alan is that Alan, like if we were carrying like bags of cement, Alan carried a lot of bags of cement. He was there first, as you all know from his Twitter feed. He stayed late. He loved the sportsman racers. He wanted to be on the mic like as every second that he could possibly be on. He wanted to challenge all those things and tell the stories. And I certainly know that it's going to be different. People are saying it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. That is a very good observation. It is not going to be the same. It is going to be different. A new era, a new version, something new, something different. Because someone who was very dedicated has gone on to something different. It's going to be different. But will it be bad? Oh, it's not going to be bad. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, it's always been fun. Jason Logan is part of the mix. It's going to be fast moving, but there's a lot of discussion about all of that stuff. It's going to be different. And I think you got a medium taste of some of it last year, but we're all talking about it. And honestly, our ideas, and feel free to submit your ideas. That's why I have a show like this. This is why I do this, because I want a direct connection to the fans of the show and people that are willing to listen to the show during the week. WFO was started, decades ago to be a direct connection for the fans to tell us, ideas and thoughts and racers that you like and who you want covered more and stories you want covered more. We're not obligated to listen to you, but I love hearing it anyway. That's what Patreons are for. I'm obligated to listen to the Patreons. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. Nicole, all the European races at the end of the regular season of NHRA, distraction if current driver or crew. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I don't think I would want it to be a current driver, like someone who's already got a gig. I would want it to be someone like Tommy Johnson, who is wildly talented, extremely knowledgeable, popular. Tommy's going to be on the broadcast crew over there in Bradenton. But like, there's no, I'm sure there's some super fans that are more of a fan of Tommy. They got Tommy's face tattooed on their back or something. But when it comes to driver ability, technical knowledge, like I love Tommy Johnson. Tommy Johnson is, should be in a car just like Fast Jack. And maybe that would be good. Chris didn't ask me for my recommendation, though. Maybe he should have. I'm thinking it's good that we'll have Alan covering the international stuff for keeping us in the loop for what's going on there. We definitely have a friendly person there. That is definite. Like, I don't know what it's going to be like, but I would hope against what I would call unnecessary snark. Let's have, in my opinion, the way I would handle everything, like all my relationships, are positively and respectfully. Like when things go down an unnecessary negative road, like we've seen in the past, that's not good for anybody. Not good for anything. I'm a believer in, collaborative efforts. I'm a believer in helping out drag racing. There's a lot of tracks that they're not NHRA tracks because they can't be. They don't have the appropriate safety situations. So anyway, I'm real positive about this. Optimistic, honestly, is a better word. Joe, I'm curious, in your racing career, have you ever cut a perfect light? If not, what's the best light you have cut? Memphis Lonnie, I have cut countless perfect lights, like more than 10. So many, honestly, Lonnie, that's not something I ever kept track of or counted. It's like, I don't know, back in the day, last century, when I raced, having a perfect light, I don't know, it just feels like a random occurrence. I don't really view it as talent. I view it as a random luck. Like if you go and you put chips on the green 000 and the wheel spins and it comes in, like, did you do anything? Nah, not really. You just guessed. That 000 or 500, which it was for me back in the day, that's random. Why not 001 red? Why not 001 green? Why not 03? Why not, who knows? It's random. So I never bothered to count those things because it's just, I was always setting up for, back in the day, like 15 was what I was shooting for. I hear it's a lot tougher now. Let's see. As I said, get a hold of Elon for West Palm Beach. Which Elon? My Elon? Our Elon? Drag Race Bracket Bonanza Elon? If you're talking about that Elon, I don't know. If he's got $75 million in his pocket, I certainly haven't detected it. But hey, Elon, can I get 100? This guy likes his show. Are you banging out the smalls on the Pontiac? The smalls. Yeah. Fittings. Where is the accumulator going to go? Where is the vacuum canister going to go? Where is the overflow tank going to go? Throttle linkage, all of these things, the little stuff taking forever, but a lot of hard work, and big thanks to my friend Rick McDonough, who's got a Top Sportsman truck he could be working on also. We're both going to try to debut in Orlando. We'll see. Kara says, is the Pro Superstar Shootout event going to be live stream? Yes, it is on Flow Sports. Blake, many of you already have Flow, because Flow's been doing all this Pro Mod stuff, and Wes's series down there, the Drag Illustrated series. Ken Cortuccio, by the way, over Lyle Barnett. My friend Mike Fiorelli wins in 632. Way to go, Mike. He's helped me with Project Pontiac a couple of years ago. But everybody has told me, we talked about it in depth on the Ignition audio only podcast last night, that when you get 70 cars, and like the number one qualifier is 356.7 and the number 32 qualifier is 365. That's crazy. And Antron Brown is in the field, and Kai Kelly is running Stevie Fast in the first round. Kai Kelly beats Stevie Fast. There's reverberations of that. That's like personality stuff. Like two of our, drag racing superstars, Kai Kelly, who is like, blowing his celebrity up with this offseason with a couple of big races. Ken Cortuccio, though, the points leader with one race to go, and that's the World Series of Pro Mod coming up. Congrats to Lyle on getting to the final. More drag racing is better, and that's it. Like, more drag racing is better. Like, it's going to be a good thing. It's a good thing that this track, Bradenton Motorsports Park, has got this deal going on. What I would really like to see, Sick Week getting started. They're going to be going through Orlando, and they're going to be going down there. Sick Week. Brett LaSala, who has got a car called Snot Rocket, is the guy who put the TBM brakes on Project Pontiac. And we're talking about his car. He's got a street car that runs in the 5s. And that's insane. What? It doesn't make sense. I remember seeing some early 5-second runs when I was a kid, and the idea that there are street cars that do it. You're living in the golden era of motorsports, guys. Right now is the golden era. And again, like I said last week, that RPM Act, if you haven't called your congressperson or reached out to the folks at SEMA, and hopefully, like, now is the time to get something like that done. I'm not afraid to say that. Mentions Flow. Yeah, Flow Racing. Need to get Flying H to grow for a national event. Casey area needs it. Yes, they certainly do. I did spend a fair amount of time while I was in Kansas City inquiring about Flying H Motorsports Park. And, people in the area might tell you that they started off a little rocky, but things are coming together. And doesn't that just come with experience? We're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to put together a staff. We're going to put together a crew. We're going to run races. Like, where do you get the people, the right people, the people to do the job, how to do the job, the scheduling, the timing, understanding your clientele, all these things. From what I heard, Flying H has come light years. They had divisional racing. They had alcohol racing. They ran a bracket finals. Like, they are trying very hard to get up to speed. I would love for some form of event, maybe at first, something like the Peach State Showdown. Something like that. But too nice a facility to not have anything. But they're doing a great job from what I understand. Pro Superstar Shootout, 185 for 3 days is a joke. Either Vegas race is cheaper. Steve, I disagree with that. $65 for a single day. That's the price of professional drag racing. That's it. That's the price for professional drag racing. And it's also the price for the NFL. And it's also the price, like, for the NFL, compare your day at any event that you pay $65 for. MLB, 3 hours of eating popcorn and buying other stuff, watching your team. The NFL, 4 hours, drinking your own beer out front, hanging out on your tailgate, going in, cheering for your team. Maybe it goes well, maybe it doesn't, screaming at people. Eagle fans, steal your hat if you're in Philadelphia and you're a Redskins fan. Drag racing, you're going to have yourself a 6 to 7 hour day of good quality entertainment. You're going to meet your favorite drivers. You're going to talk to the people that are playing the game. You're going to be up close and personal. You're going to definitely have a good time, win or lose, because somebody you like is going to win. I don't know, man. Honestly, maybe that's too low. Like you're talking to the wrong guy. My solution for a lot of drag racing stuff is raise the prices. Raise the price. Raise them up. But I know people get mad at me. And you should be happy nobody listens to me. It's $40 a month. As I don't know the prices of the Flow Stream. Actually, race tickets are $185 for 3 days. Yeah, but $65 a day. I've got the email. It's on the list. And you can watch the best pro mod racing you'll ever see. Let's see. Joe, we're all going to want a first startup in the car video. Well, we have that dyno video. That's a first startup technically, but in the car, yeah. Except I'm not going to do that. No way. I'm going to be focused on other stuff. I don't think. See, like that's a negative conversation. Don't want to go there. Great news for Chris. We run Nitro Funny Car in England. Yeah, I think people are going to be excited. I agree that a 000 is a mistake. How many double O's in a row shows a little more real world talent? Yeah, Ken Cortuccio had like 2 001s and a 006 in eliminations. This is the report I got. But thanks for the great shows. Been listening since 2017. Thank you very much. Yeah, maybe we could get Elon Musk to just give us money. That would be cool. Maybe TJ Jr. or Fast Jack could be a regular guest. Well, so on WFO, I think you got a little bit of a sample of we're going to just lean on more race winners, drivers, personalities, of course. I'm very fortunate. Like I'm pretty confident that anybody that I want to get on this show is probably going to come on the show if they're available. It's been, it's just been a very positive part of the WFO experience. Like our audience, it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the audience. Like you guys show up every week, you share the show, you subscribe, and you chatter about it. We've had so many big moments on WFO over the past 15 years that, I'm sure Jason Galvin, Jason Logan will make some appearances, right? We still got to get Ron Capps at the start of the season here. Well, there's never enough time for all the tremendous stories. Speaking of which, I got to connect with Jimmy Hidalgo Jr., our Super Stock World Champion for our Lucas Oil Parade of Champions. We'll have a new show up tomorrow at noon with Jimmy Hidalgo, the country puppy. Going to talk to him about his near double World Championship. Also, you're going to get a new show from Michael Heiner. Hear it from Heiner for the Patreons. Inside Pro Stock, total behind the scenes, get biofuel team and all kinds of Pro Stock stuff. Michael Heiner going to be talking about it. Kenny is attacking Greg Stanfield. He says Greg Stanfield is a very negative thing. Kenny is attacking Greg Stanfield. That's going to be something I'm watching out for. Kimmy liked the qualifying out there in Bradenton. The timing of the deal is perfect, man. There's nothing else going on. There's nothing to compete with. Of course, the NFL, but not everybody's into that. The Super Bowl is set. Kansas City and the Eagles going to be battling it out. 2 weeks from now, really, that's the same weekend as the Pro Superstar Shootout. Sunday. Hey, get your WFO gear, guy. Get a Project Pontiac shirt, whatever it takes to get you on board. We're going to have a lot of fun as the season unwinds. Yes, hear it from Heiner show coming up. You can check us out on PowerTube TV. Appreciate all of that. But in the meantime, guys, we appreciate you. Season is just getting started. We encourage you to subscribe. Click that bell, baby. WFO. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Chris.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.